Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. It's a little bit of a different couple of weeks coming up now. So Nima, who usually hosts it, is sunning it up in Lebanon. Very jealous. So I'm playing host, and joined with me today is Hassan at HAFTBL on Twitter. Hassan, welcome to the show. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. I've calmed down from what was a
Yeah,
very disappointing result on
yeah,
Saturday. I was very emotional, but
yeah,
yeah, I'd like to think I've rationalised my thoughts and everything now,
yeah,
and yeah, delighted to have you on the show. I think I
yeah,
did tweet it, and I wasn't just
yeah,
saying it for the sake of Twitter. Like I genuinely love reading your takes on the timeline. I know we've followed each other and interacted a few times
yeah,
before, and
yeah,
I think our regular listeners will know, like my tactical brain is that I'm obsessed with the tactical side of Twitter, and like I love
yeah.
reading all the threads and stuff.
Mhm.
And I think some of your opinions and yeah, like you've helped me see the game in a different light through reading
Thank
some
you.
of your
That
stuff.
really
So
means something from you.
yeah, so thanks a lot for joining. So I guess before, obviously, for people that are new here, what we tend to do is we review the game. So we kind of look at it from a statistical lens because that does help to kind of, well, it's facts, right? And I think myself included, I always have like a narrative in my head, subjective opinions, but then it's always good to clarify with stats and kind of see how that aligns. So we review the game from that perspective, discuss like the lineups, all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
But I want to get to know you a bit more first. So talk to me. Why the Arsenal? How long have you been a fan? Do you get to go much?
Yeah, I've been an Arsenal fan for over 20 years. When I was growing up, I used to see Match of the Day with Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira. I also used to like Liverpool because of the Anfield crowd and Michael Owen, Steven Gerrard making lots of tackles. But because Liverpool was quite far from here, it's over 4 hours, I realised that over the last year because my cousin got married in Liverpool. So that's the day we beat Villa 4-2, funnily enough. So I thought to myself, going to Liverpool would be really, really costly, really expensive. It's far. So the closest team that I like the most is Arsenal, and Arsenal's literally 40 minutes away from me. And we
Nice
just we just have a certain like style, certain class, the way we
culture
just
club, in it.
football. Yeah, we're just a culture club. So I thought, yeah, this club suits me well. And then ever since then, I've been addicted, really. So yeah, this
Nice.
club's given me a lot of joy, but also a lot of pain, especially the last 15 years or so. It's been a lot of pain, but I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest.
Nah, no, I think we're out of that pain cycle, and
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but
it's starting to look quite serious now. So
yeah, I'm
yeah,
extremely confident in this project in the next few
yeah,
years. And like I was one of those kind of early Arteta loving guys where even that period where we weren't doing well, I could see what he was trying to do.
yeah,
And I'm so bullish on where we're headed. And I'd love to get your kind of takes on that later on. But
yeah.
yeah, have you been to any of the games so far this season or
I went to the community shield because
nice?
one guy I'm in the GC with, Dan George, I think you may know him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he basically said, "I have a spare ticket. Would you like to go?" I thought to myself, "How much does it cost?" He said, "It's going to cost you £25." So I thought, okay, no problem.
Nice.
£25. Wembley's literally 15, 20 minutes away from me on the bus, so it's not a problem. So I
Oh,
went there, and it was probably one of the best days of my life because I got to see my team
amazing.
lift the trophy in Wembley, and we beat Man
Nice one.
City.
Ah, amazing. Yeah, I'm on a lucky streak at Wembley. I've been fortunate to be there for all three FA Cup finals,
Oh yeah,
the whole one, the Villa one, yeah, and all the semis. So I've not seen us lose at New Wembley yet.
yeah.
So
It's
yeah, touch wood. But
it's our second.
um, exactly, yeah. But no, nice one. Yeah, thanks for that. So, well, well, should we get into the game? So
Yeah.
what we'll do, we'll just touch on the lineup first. So this was the lineup. So for podcast listeners, obviously it was Ramsdale in goal, Partey, White, Saliba, Kivior, Odegaard, Rice, Havertz, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli. So I'll just put that on the screen for now. When the team came up, what was your kind of initial reaction?
It was what I expected, really, because
Yeah,
we had to play party right back to compensate the really unfortunate injury that happened to Yuri and Timber. So we had to put Party as right back, so he inverts from the right. So essentially, as you know, we played Zinchenko left back, but he inverts to the left, and we have a
yeah,
box midfield. We have a 4 versus 3 every time. But because of Zinchenko coming back from injury and Timber's unfortunate ACL, we've had to play Partey as a right back, so he inverts to the right, and Rice is our left-sided pivot, which he's quite used to because he's played that sort of position at West Ham.
yep,
So that's what we tried to do. So I thought, okay, this is what we've been doing for a while, and it kind of works. But there's some negatives I want to speak about, but we'll discuss it later on, I'm guessing.
Yeah, sure. And on that, it's interesting because I'm glad you brought it up about the party at right back thing and essentially flipping the inversion, right? Because in my head, that's nothing new. Like we actually did from memory, we did it in 2 games towards the back end of last season, and
Yeah, we did it against Nottingham Forest, and we did it against Wolves.
That was it. It was Wolves as well, and yeah, the general narrative is like it's a new alien thing that we've done, and I'm kind of, if I'm being completely honest, I haven't loved the system that we've kind of tweaked, and I'm not talking about the party inversion and stuff. But I think like I said at the start, I think I've rationalized it now, and I get it's effective in creating chances, and we're going towards total control, which we didn't have last season, right? And in stats coming up later, you'll see like our field tilt, we're playing up higher, we're suffocating teams, and it's been effective in like we've created enough chances where we should have won all of the games, right?
Yeah.
I think I've clocked why I'm not a fan of it, and it's just a fluidity thing and personnel in certain areas of the pitch. So from my perspective, it's an aesthetics thing, which I think I just need to grow up, to be honest. Like last year was last year was vibes, right? And like we weren't really seriously thinking about the title until like I'd say Christmas, maybe.
Yeah, we're just happy to get into top 4. That was everyone's thinking.
That was the objective in the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's part of my maturity as a fan in needing to like change my thinking in terms of expectations as well. But yeah, the general system so far, like I feel I know you should never just judge narratives from Twitter, but if I'm going on that kind of social media platform, I feel like the system is dividing opinion. Where are you at on that?
As you said you understand why we do it. But the one thing that's really starting to irritate me is how isolated our wingers are.
Yeah.
Because you see Martinelli, he's really hugging the touchline. Saka's really hugging the touchline. He lost his overlap in Ben White, because Ben White at right back used to overlap at will, and they'd have a 3-on-2 triangle with Odegaard that was so fluid last season. Because of party inverting, it's not his fault by any means. It's just the way he plays football and his profile. He has to basically tuck into midfield, and then White sometimes has to overlap from centre-back, and that's why we conceded the first goal. Saka is basically 3-3-1, because the opposition defensive midfielder, the opposition fullback, and the opposition winger are all circling in on him. And unless he's Lionel Messi and he has to basically draw past 3 players, I know Saka's good, but he's not that good. Come on, let's be real. It's not really an optimal situation. But what I wanted us to do is, we're going to speak about him, Kai Havertz. A lot of people were not really happy with his performance, myself included. What we could have done, it's not optimal as well, because Havertz is a runner. He likes attracting players away from him. It could free up Saka. It could free up Saka to do more damage. So maybe we put Havertz on the right, and we put Odegaard on the left central midfield. So he's more of a passer. He can get Martinelli involved and get him in behind, running in behind them. But that's another discussion for another day. But that's why I think that it's not working, because we're putting the wrong profiles next to our wingers, and it's not giving them the best chance of succeeding.
And that's exactly where I'm at. And yeah, that's why I say it's a personnel selection thing for me at the minute. What's your thoughts on the Gabriel situation? How do you feel about that?
I think he's just suffering from the byproduct of us inverting party from the right.
Yeah.
Because we're inverting from the right, I think Arteta wants more of a natural left back to support Martinelli. But we did play Gabriel once left back against what's that team?
Nuremberg. Yeah,
we played him left back a little bit. Kiwior did start the game, but Gabriel did play left back towards the end of the game. The second half, he played left back, and I don't think Arteta liked what he saw. Maybe that's just what I'm thinking. So maybe because we're inverting party from the right, he wants more of a left back like Kiwior, or he wants Tomiyasu, because they've played left back before and they've done well to varying degrees. Because Tomiyasu was our best defender against Liverpool last year. He completely marked out the game, and he got him substituted when it was 2-2.
He did, yeah.
And then Kiwior, he's played left back before. Towards the end of against Nottingham Forest as well, I think he played left back.
Yeah,
and against Wolves as well, he played left back. So I think Arteta just wants to continue with that. Kiwior Tomiyasu, that's his second left back after Zinchenko.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Gabriel's not playing, because he's not a left back in Arteta's eyes. But I think once Zinchenko comes back, hopefully he comes back into the team and we get some fluidity.
And then with that in mind, so do you think the tweaks we've seen so far have been enforced because of Timber,
Yeah,
Zinchenko's
yeah.
potential availability? So with that in mind, Sunday we've got United, obviously.
Mhm.
What do you think he'll do? Do you think he'll go back to something that resonates with last season's selection a bit more, or?
I think the lineup we played against Man City, I think that's his lineup for a big game. Like if we're going to play against a big team, if we're going to play a final, for example, I think
Yeah,
that's his big game lineup. But I think what we're going to do is just put Zinchenko left back in to replace Timber, and I think Eddie's going to start instead of Havertz.
sure. Okay. No Jesus yet then, no?
No, I think Arteta is going to just bring him back, ease
Sure.
him back, because that's what we do with injuries now. We don't just force them back in straight away. We gradually ease them in.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Okay.
Zinchenko, he had 15 minutes against Palace, I think. He
Yeah.
basically played the whole half
Uh,
against Fulham.
He was so good when he came on against Palace as well.
Yeah, he was good. He gave us a lot of control. Him and Jorginho gave us a lot of control. So, yeah. And then I think Fulham, he played 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
I think he's good for 60 on Sunday.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just feel like that level of it's funny because I feel again narratives last season for me,
Mhm,
no doubt he elevated us to a level
mhm.
I didn't really know was technically possible. Obviously, you've seen it at City, but I've not seen Arsenal play this style of football until kind of Zinchenko, Jesus came in,
Yeah,
and he just it kind of re-educated me, I guess. And then I feel like towards obviously he's got his defensive frailties, right? And everyone was fixated on that. I'd say from like March onwards, and I think he became like really underrated in the general fan base, and again
yeah.
narratives
I
on
think it's
Twitter and stuff.
because of the stakes we're playing at. Because the
Yeah,
stakes we're playing at was so high. Any mistake is amplified by 1 million. So I
yeah,
think that's what the problem was. But you are right though. He is really underrated and he gave us a lot of control. We can't forget how good he was against Tottenham away specifically.
oh
Tottenham away
yeah.
was a ground we've not won for nearly 10 years, and he completely bossed the game from left back.
Yeah, exactly. And then so where are you at with Havertz at the minute then? So obviously you kind
Um,
of touched on you
yeah,
touched on it, but you didn't really
yeah.
dig.
Just briefly, because so basically with Havertz, I think what he is, we need to like just get that out of the way. People for the last 3 years at Chelsea was playing as a back to goal striker. He was playing as a back to goal striker like Benteke, just trying to hold the ball up with his height. I think his height goes against him in a way
In
because
what
he's
sense?
in that people just think he's like a striker because
Right.
he's so tall. He's 6'4". He can hold the ball up. He's good in the air. He has these attributes, but I think he's more of a false nine, come attacking midfielder. Like he can play
He's
in the
very
pocket.
intelligent, right?
He's really intelligent. His best like attributes are to basically attract players away from him, and then he can make space for others, or he can make space for himself to run into. That's what he's good at, and he's a mover as well. He likes to play 1-2 combinations. He'll play one pass, and then he'll run past the opposing player to receive a pass. So
Yeah.
I think that's why Mikel Arteta has designs for him to play left eight. But however, a lot of people were worried about his defensive work because what Xhaka did,
I,
he essentially replaced Xhaka. What Xhaka did was he was so good at winning second balls and duels, and he completely locked up that left hand side from a defensive point of view. What happened? But with Havertz, what he did was, I think a lot of people need to give him a lot of praise for his. He's really good at defending. He's really good
yeah,
at pressing.
this is
He's
where it's
really
like
good at.
but I think this is where psychologically you've got an idea in your head and
Yeah,
you ignore the facts of what you're seeing. Because if you just go on stats, I should have checked this myself, but I remember seeing like he won loads of. I want to say he was top for duels in was it the Forest game
it was
maybe or
Forest and Palace. I think he won the most duels in the team.
yeah, and it's like I don't know. You've got this kind of concept in your head that Xhaka's this industrious midfielder and Havertz is this Özil-esque floater, and so
Mm.
people therefore think, oh, he doesn't press, he doesn't work hard. But if you
Yeah.
look at it statistically, he's up there.
Yeah. He works really, really hard. So I'm really, really happy with him in that regard. What I'm not happy with him is on the ball, because we
Yeah,
signed him.
agree.
We signed him to make movements and to score goals or to make things happen. On that regard, he's not really been great because against Man City, he missed two very big chances.
Yeah.
He missed two very big chances against Fulham, and there was one cross that went in. He didn't attack the ball
He
at
didn't
all.
even attack it. I remember. Yeah, so I've got a season ticket at the Arsenal, and my seat is really nice from like a tactical lens. So it's upper
Mhm.
tier and nice bird's eye view. And
Yeah,
it's one of the you do notice these little things in the game sort of thing when you're
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
Even at
I
home,
remember, and it was like the cross. was in there, and I was like, you have to throw yourself at that. And I think that's one thing I was disappointed, because I'm with you. As great as I think he's been defensively, and I think people have glossed over that, I have been hoping for more on the ball.
Yeah.
And one thing I said to Nima in a previous episode was, I think it was the Forest game. I feel like everyone was raving about his movement, but I was actually a bit disappointed, because again, from my seat, I could see areas where Rice would have the ball and there's a pocket of space, and he wasn't proactively seeing that. And I get he's quite early into his Arsenal education in terms of,
a lot of confidence, to be honest.
Pardon?
I think he's lacking a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and that's something that will probably come
with him at Chelsea. But anytime he makes movements or he tries to execute or shoot, it's never with like conviction, you know.
Yeah.
But and even on Saturday, like, he didn't seem in sync with our players, because there was one time he tried to play a pass, it would go out for a throw in, or he would miss Nelly, or he would just not attack the ball or anything like that. So I'm just thinking to myself, it may be confidence. Maybe he just wants to not make a mistake, and whenever he does make a mistake, it's amplified to 1 million again.
Yeah, I mean, we love that as a fan base, don't we?
What I think Arteta needs to do, for the sake of himself and for the sake of the team, is, do you remember when Odegaard got taken out of the team when he signed on a permanent contract?
Yeah.
Between October and November, we barely saw him. We didn't see him at all. So I think the best thing for him is just to give him that sort of treatment, give him 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there, and then hopefully you can build his confidence up slowly. But I do think there's a player there for sure.
Yeah, and someone who probably, well, it's early to say, but might have benefited from that integration, Vieira's cameo, right? That was really, really exciting. That was unbelievable.
I'm a big fan of that guy. Big fan.
Sure. Go on, take it away. What do you see his role being this season for us? Because if I'm being honest, how my opinions on Vieira before have been, never doubted his kind of ability in the final third, his end product. I think he'd be up there if the environment and structure around him is perfect, essentially. Where I was disappointed last season, it wasn't, again, the general, he needs to beef up this, that. Maybe I'm overanalyzing. I felt there were games where he would only ever wait to have a final action sort of thing. And I've wanted to see more in terms of get involved in the game, contribute to what build up and actually dictate. And that's what I felt like he was hiding a little bit. But this game, when he came on, he was demanding the ball. He was dictating it. There was like this urgency I hadn't seen from him. And like I said, I've never doubted his technical quality. I just doubted the kind of wider context around his game.
Will he ever take the game by the scruff of the neck, basically?
Yeah, but go on, talk to me about him.
What I loved about his cameo is he basically, as you said, he just said to everyone, give me the ball. Yeah. I think he took, in 40 minutes, I think he had like 40 touches. So every minute he was on the ball, basically making something happen. And some of his movements as well, especially for the penalty. Did you see the overlapping right he did?
Yeah.
And if he didn't get taken
similar to Wolves, right? Do you remember the away game?
When Jesus dropped into the space, and then Fabio made a run in behind. He was plays the ball to Odegaard. It's a goal. I think the same thing was going to happen against Fulham, but he got taken out by Bassi.
Yeah.
But either way, he said, this is my game. I'm going to take control of it. We're going to win. If we won the game, I'm certain that would have been probably the best cameo in Arsenal history.
Yeah, it reminded me of, like, you remember when Fabregas came on against, was it Villa? Just scored.
It was Villa,
He was like broken to pieces. And he just scored a free kick, and
and then he set up a goal, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But so just before we go on to like the general kind of summary of the game, looking at the incidents and stuff, any other players you want to kind of talk about from Saturday's game?
I think Ben White had a very good game.
Yeah,
I thought he had a really good. It's normal now, because even though how Gary Neville completely destroyed his reputation in the first game when he had COVID, I think he's very underrated. Like, what he did against Brentford was really underrated, like, in terms of he got the ball from the right and he kept switching it to Martinelli. We'd overload the right hand side, and then we'd switch it to the left hand side, and Martinelli was 1v1 every time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he didn't really make anything happen from that. But I thought White's long passing was really, really good.
He's someone I say to like a lot of my friends that aren't Arsenal fans, unless you watch him 90 minutes every week, I don't think people realise how good he is. I know I said Zinchenko's become underrated by Arsenal fans, but I think outside of Arsenal circles, I think White's one of the most underrated players in the league. I think you never see.
Yeah, I think people think that he can get bullied, even though he's quite dominant in duels,
Yeah,
especially on the ground. And in the air, he's improved a lot in that department. And on the ball, he's really, really good. And one
yeah.
thing about him physically is he's probably one of the fastest players in the team.
He's so durable, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He
very
never.
powerful.
I think Rob Holding said he did a grade 3 hamstring against Newcastle 18 months ago, the game that we lost 2-0, that basically mathematically guaranteed we couldn't get top 4.
Yeah,
He had a grade 3 hamstring and he still played on.
yeah, and that's
Because
the
we
thing.
need.
Like, I'm a massive nerd for like psychology and stuff, and I think this team that Arteta's built psychologically, they're all so strong, and it's from different angles. So you look at Martinelli and like his kind of upbringing in Brazil, and then people like Ben White who have worked their way up the football league, right? Like I don't think people realize how brutal it is in the lower leagues and what you have to
Yeah,
kind of endure to
a
get
lot,
to this
a lot
level.
more quicker than the Premier League, and it's a lot more physical. Fouls in the Premier over there don't get given.
Yeah, exactly. A couple more questions that have just sprung to mind. Actually, I want to get your opinion on before we kind of do general match summary. Where are you at on Ramsdale and Raya? Do you think Raya will come in for Man United? Do you think
Um,
Ramsdale will keep it for the foreseeable?
I think any change that will happen after the international break, because as you remember, Ramsdale came in against Norwich, and that was after the international break
Yeah,
2 years ago. So I think if Arteta is planning anything like that, it will be after the international break where there's a lull, he can think clearly, and then if he decides to make a change, he would make a change. I don't think he'll make such a big change in a big game that's going to happen really,
yeah.
really soon. So I don't think he'll do that, to be
Do you
honest.
do you have a preference? Where are you at on
Uh,
Ramsdale?
to be honest, I don't know if you've seen. I've said quite a lot of times. Ramsdale's saved our bacon quite a lot of times.
Sure.
Like he saved us against Bournemouth. You know when they were 1-0 up, and then
Yeah,
Utara big chance. He saved that.
he made a
Villa,
big save on a
yeah,
Saturday from Traore as
yeah.
well, right? Last
And
minute.
then there was Leon Bailey at Villa Park at 3-2. I think he made a big save. Where Leon Bailey and Duran had a chance. He made 2 big saves.
Yeah,
And then he made a big save against Liverpool when we
yeah,
won 3-2 with Luis Diaz. And there's countless other big saves, and Tottenham away especially, with Harry
yeah. He
Kane
did well
and
there.
Sessegnon. Then 2-0, he made really, really big saves. So I think with Ramsdale, when we're under pressure the most is when he's locked in.
Yeah,
When Ramsdale's locked in, when we're under pressure, he's brilliant. If the problem is when we don't have a lot of pressure, we're 1-0, 2-0 up, we're like really calm and relaxed, and then when there's just a routine save to make, he doesn't make it. That's
yeah,
my worry with him. When we're under a lot of pressure, getting a lot of shots on our goal against our goal, he's brilliant. But when when there's no shots or hardly any shots, and then when the shot comes in and you think, oh, he's going to save it, he doesn't save it. So I think it's just concentration with him, to be honest. But I
yeah.
wouldn't like to see it happen on Sunday, to be honest.
No, mine is I agree with what you're saying, but longer term, Raya is an addition I've personally welcomed, and I think I agree on like those big moments that Ramsdale's kind of contributed towards. The flip side of that is there's a lot of goals we concede, and I find myself looking at him thinking, I think you could have done better there. And
Yeah, the
even I know,
against Liverpool in when we lost 2-0 in March 2022, when the Jota goal.
yeah,
That one really pissed me off. I'm sorry for swearing, but
no, that's a go for it.
that one really annoyed me. That one really, really annoyed me because
Yeah,
that's really weak wrist from him.
yeah. I think if I had to just summarize my opinion on Ramsdale, I think we all know his potential and his ceiling and like how good he is now. I think it's just a consistency thing, which you have to account for with a young goalkeeper. Like that's to be expected.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of like where we are now and our expectations, I think it is an area that we can demand more from personally in that
Of
goalkeeper spot. And I do think
course.
his distribution has regressed. I don't know if it's regressed or if he's going for a patch, but it's not quite what it was, in my opinion, when he
Yeah.
first broke into the team. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
When he first came, it was really, really good. It was like pinpoint. Like there was balls he would do through to the center of the pitch. Would go to Aubameyang, would go to Lacazette. It would hit them all the time. But there was one specifically that annoyed me as well. Southampton, the first goal, where he just gave it to Alcaraz.
yeah,
In the first minute, I'm thinking that's unacceptable. You can't be doing that.
I know. And we've got Marsh in the chat. And cheers for joining, Marsh. He adds, he's still so young for a keeper to plenty of room to develop. And you'd hope a competition at the goalkeeper slot improves both players as long as they have the right mentality. And I completely agree. I think it's hard to psychoanalyze from the outside, but Ramsdale seems like the kind of guy where I think this will only help him improve rather than kind of destroy confidence or anything. But yeah, no, nice one. So I feel like that's a nice segue onto the actual summary of the game, because it was another goal conceded straight away. Any opinions on this?
Variance.
You think it's just variance, yeah?
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 we win that game, but the 2 goals we gave to Fulham were sweets. We just gave it to them.
Oh, so I mean specifically on, so that's the 3rd time this calendar year we've conceded in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Just on that, like not the overall game, just the specific incident of us conceding so early. Do you think that's variance as well, or anything on that?
To be honest, the mistake we made was a technical mistake. It was a build-up mistake.
Yeah.
So basically, as you said, you got a good view. So Partey inverted too soon because that's just not his nature. His nature is of a midfielder. He wants to be in the center of the pitch at all times. He inverted from the right, and then White, even though he played centre back this game, his natural instinct now is to overlap Saka. And because Saka got the ball, White thought, okay, I need to overlap to make space for him. And then Saka, he made that back pass because he thought by muscle memory Saliba will be there. Because last season Saliba was right centre back. He thought to himself, okay, Saliba will be there. I'll pass the ball to Saliba, and then we can build again. But because he had that brain dump muscle memory incident, Pereira ran into the space, and then I think he got very lucky with the finish, to be honest, because he opened his body up to lob Ramsdale to the other side, and because he just hit the shot, he made Ramsdale look kind of stupid, because Ramsdale thought, if I just position myself to the right, I can just catch the ball and then we can start the action again. But because Pereira completely mishit it, he got Ramsdale scrambling. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, Ramsdale could have done better." He just anticipated that Pereira was going to lob him, but because Pereira messed it up, he made him look a lot stupid. But
and that was my take on it as well. And so yeah, what we've got on screen for the audio listeners is for any new listeners, we do this every week in our reviews of the pod. So there's a brilliant account called Mark R Statsbot, and we always take his data. And I know with XG and stuff, different models come out with different things, but for consistency, we always use Mark's. So what I'll do, I'll read through. Excuse me. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. I'll read through the summary of the stats, and then we'll kind of talk through our, I guess, subjective view of the game. So the XG was 3.39 to us and 1.24 to Fulham. The expected threat, which is kind of the amount of times what it says on the tin, right? How threatening you are when you're on the ball, and they assign a value to that. 2.81 to 0.64. Possession, 71.5% to 28.5. Field tilt, this is one of my favorite stats, and I can't remember if we spoke about this when we went live or if we were talking about this before when you and I were catching up. Field tilt was 90.4%, and that is how often and how high up you are. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm looking at where we're evolving. We're looking for complete domination and suffocation of the opposition. And then you look at the defensive action height, 63.3% to 31.8. So statistically, it was domination. And that's what I'm with you. This game was variance. But it's frustrating still, right? So that's the stats to kind of set the scene. Statistically. What was your views on the game as it was unfolding, and I guess immediately after? Because I was pissed off, but I was emotional, right? I'd had a few drinks. I was caught up in the moment, but yeah, what was your take on everything?
To be honest, after the game, like you, I was very annoyed that we gave them 2 really, really cheap goals, and we could have gave another one with the transition from Adama. But we're lucky Ramsdale made a great save. But I thought to myself, 9 out of 10 times we win because we created some really good chances. Like Saka had a big chance where
header, right?
Left, and then Saka was point blank in front of the goal, and he put it over. And then Havertz had a chance where Saka put the cross in, and then Havertz was at the back post, and then he put it wide. And then there was one other one with Martinelli. He was 1v1, and then he just put it straight at Leno. Yeah. And then there was one as well where, as we said earlier, where Saka put the cross in. If Havertz attacked the ball, it's a goal. And then there was another one with Kiwior had a chance at the end. where like people were saying he should have done a little bit better. But the thing is, the ball came to him so quickly. I don't think he had enough time to react. If he had time to react, I'm sure that's a goal as well. And there was the Eddie chance that we scored from, and the penalty.
Just from this alone, the amount you're reeling off, like you're right, we created so many chances, and
this is all just from memory as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like if I had to rewatch like Match of the Day, I'm sure there'd be ones that I can't even remember now. But to your point, like this is a game I think you roll a dice out of 10 times, we win it 9, right?
Yeah.
My frustration, like I kind of touched on it earlier with the system, is the fluidity just feels a little bit off. I feel like, and a lot of that is people in different areas. And I always say, I believe we don't play a formation. There's people that occupy areas of a pitch that are fluid. And it's like, okay, this is your zone. You two free guys, you occupy. It's all about kind of numerical advantages, as you talked about earlier, right? All over the pitch. And that's what I get really.
And qualitative as well. Like if we have, for example, Martinelli on the left, he's probably one of the fastest players in the league versus a fullback that's not as fast. That's a qualitative superiority.
Yeah, sure. But I just feel like everything from this game, subjective, the quantitative stuff we've got in front of us screams domination. So they went 1-0 up. How did you think we responded to that? Were you happy with the response, or?
To be honest, in the beginning, I thought we were a little bit sloppy on the ball because they played a really good mid block. They just kind of blocked us off, and whenever players were trying to make space, they would just cover a shadowing really well. And whenever we tried to play a ball, they would get it back. But the thing is, whenever they got the ball, our press was so good, we got the ball back. And then it was just a bit of a stalemate. And then after 20 minutes onwards, we started getting on the ball more. We started to create little openings, little situations, half chances, and then the Saka chance, and then the Havertz chance, then the other Havertz chance where he doesn't attack the ball. Then Martinelli was getting 1v1, as we said earlier with Ben White. He was playing a lot of long balls from right to left, leaving Martinelli 1v1 with Tete. And he didn't really pick. Yeah.
Sorry, you just mentioning crossfield balls. How fucking good is Declan Rice?
He's brilliant. He's brilliant. The business. So like, I've praised him so much on my account. It's not even funny anymore.
Same.
He is the business.
We have a regular listener. His name's Dan, FPL fella, big West Ham fan, and I knew how good Rice was, but I think I still didn't know how good he was, if that makes sense. I feel like there's so much more to his game than I realized. And in duels, he's a joke. His anticipation to always be in the right area to break up play, and his ability on the ball is better than I thought it would be. He's adapted quicker than I thought he would on the ball, personally.
Yeah. To be honest, I think he's always had that ability on the ball because the game we beat West Ham 2-0 in 2021 in Christmas time. That's when I realized this guy is really, really good. And then I made it my business to basically watch West Ham at any given opportunity because I saw Declan Rice live in front of me and I thought to myself, I have to watch this guy every time I physically can because this guy is so, so good. He's gonna go to the top. And if we don't sign him, because I said to George and Curran and all those guys, I said in 18 months when we get Champions League football or 6 months or 18 months when we get Champions League football, he has to be our marquee signing. And I said that 18 months ago.
Nice. I bet you were buzzing then.
I'm buzzing. When Ornstein said it's happening, at 11 o'clock at night on Eid Day, I was running up and down my house going, we got Declan Rice. And I woke up my sister, I was saying, we got Declan Rice. And then, I'm absolutely buzzing. And then I noticed how good he was on the ball. So I wasn't really surprised. What surprised me the most was with him is that how quickly he's adapting to number 6 because he's playing like really good disguise through balls.
His line-breaking passes, that's the thing. That's what when I say he's adapted quicker than I thought, that's what I wasn't really aware of, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I knew he had it to a degree at West Ham, but because I think he's in an environment that's encouraging him to play those passes, he's playing that now because at West Ham, he had Souček, he had Paqueta, he had guys like that wanted to play direct football, and he would play long balls to Soufal, diagonals to Soufal, and then they would play the cross to Soufal, and then Bowen would score, or he'd play channel balls to Antonio. But because we're a team that wants the ball to feed, to play little short passes, I think he's encouraged to play that sort of football now, and he's expressing himself. So I'm really happy about that. And as you said, he's got this sixth sense to know where the ball's going to
Spidey
drop.
senses, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a superpower. I think that's his best trait, because there was one time where Fulham tried to break on us, and then he just robbed the ball from Pereira like he was a kid.
Yeah, honestly, ridiculous, man. And
he's a great.
yeah, so obviously we went 1-0 up, like we said. Sorry, 1-0 down. I wish we went 1-0 up. Game carries on. We get to halftime, still 1-0 down, right? And he makes a change. Trossard, was it for Nketiah? I want to say.
In halftime.
Yeah. Where were you at with that? Because I was really disappointed in Trossard. He's someone that I always say he always impacts when he comes on, and he does enough to get a start. He gets the start and doesn't really pull up any trees.
To be fair, his touch is one of the best in the squad, I feel. And his touch was really, really off. Like, under no pressure, he was losing the ball. And he was playing passes that weren't on, because he tried to flick it to Havertz, and then one of the Fulham players headed it out, and then that's how the Raul Jimenez bicycle kick chance happened.
Yeah, that was closer than I thought as well.
I was bricking it at home, but I thought to myself, if Trossard didn't flick that ball, that doesn't happen. That chance, no way it happens.
Yeah.
But to be fair to Trossard, he did create that big chance for Saka from the cross from the left.
He did.
So when the thing is with Trossard is, there's one thing that really surprised me about him is I didn't know how technical he was. Because whenever I watch like Brighton on YouTube on the Sky Sports channel, he would score these Jota type of goals where he would just he'll just poach or something.
He'll appear in the right area, sort of thing.
Yeah, he's got that. I thought to myself, this guy's just probably a poacher or something. But against United, in his debut, I didn't know how technical he was, how good he was on the ball, how comfortable he was in tight spaces, how creative he was. So he's a pleasant surprise, and I really like him. But I was really disappointed with his display.
Yeah. So I guess that was a really good change, and then obviously it gets to, I think it was around like the 55th hour mark, and the double change. So it was Zinchenko and Vieira on for Partey and Havertz, and that is, in my opinion, when the football it clicked. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, I know the system is fine if the objective is control.
Yeah.
I feel like the system is perfect. I know we created chances, but my opinion is that the chances, only really came once we kind of flipped back to dynamics of last season.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What did you think? Because that's only once I felt comfortable.
I completely agree with you when you said when Zinchenko came on and Vieira came on, and we got some left-hand side dynamics back to what it was last season. We just clicked. We completely clicked, and we just started to get more control. We started to create a few more half chances, few openings, and then Vieira made the overlapping run for the first goal, and then Basti takes them out, and then we got the penalty, and then Saka scores it. I feel really uncomfortable when he takes the penalty. I'm sorry.
Mate, same. Like, although this one I felt comfortable, but it's funny you brought that up, because Nima and I on the previous one, we were discussing, is Odegaard going to be the new taker? And my potentially unpopular opinion is I always feel really nervous when Saka's taking them, but I didn't for this one for whatever reason.
I feel like I'm going to throw up whenever he takes penalties, because it's because it's of the trauma of the penalty miss, because we all adore him so much and we'll do anything. We love him. It's just the thought of him missing a penalty just is really heartbreaking, especially against West Ham. That really hurt me, because even though it affected our title run, it's just because it's Saka and we love him so much. It just hurts.
He's our adopted child, isn't he?
Yeah. We all love him, and as you saw yesterday from the PFA Player of the Year video on where I think he was shocked as well with how much Arsenal fans.
Is that, for context, for audio listeners, is this the one where you're talking about there was a video where he was being shown a video of people being asked, would you rather, what was it? Would you rather win the league or sell Saka or something?
Yeah. And everyone said, no chance, we're not selling him.
Yeah, it was like, would you rather win the league, but it means you have to sell Saka? And they were like, nah. And it was really nice. You see Saka's reaction to it. What a guy.
He seemed really shocked.
Yeah. But obviously fair play to him for winning that trophy last night. So back to the game. So double change happens, and then 10 minutes later, Vieira brilliantly wins the penalty, nicely tucked away by Saka, and then immediately after that, an unbelievable ball from Vieira. Nketiah, lovely finish. So 2-1. What's your headspace at that point? Because I'm thinking, we've done this. We're calm.
Yeah, I thought to myself, okay, 2-1 now. Get the third one. Control the game. Get the third one if you can. and then if you get the third, then just see the game out. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But on the assist on Fabio Vieira, that's probably one of the best assists I've seen this year. I'm not even joking. Just the way he got the ball from the left half space and he just crossed that
It was
behind the
inch
back line.
perfection.
It was like watching Kevin De Bruyne.
It was. It really was. It was. Yeah, played to perfection. And then, so obviously we're 2-1 up, and
Mm.
then the red card happens for Bassi, right? So then I don't know again about you, but I'm thinking, okay, yeah, calm, we've won this. Then he makes a change, Jorginho for Odegaard. Did you have any thoughts on that at the time? Like, I know it's easy with hindsight, but what
Yeah,
was your feeling at the time?
my
Can you remember?
feeling at the time was, okay, fine. He just wants to control the game, like just keep the ball, control the game, play 100 million. As he
Because I
said,
thought Odegaard had a pretty poor game personally.
yeah, he wasn't great. But what I noticed about Odegaard is whenever he tries to take responsibility, he will just start shooting for no
Yeah,
reason. Because he did the
yeah,
same Bournemouth last year. Like he didn't create anything, but he just kept shooting whenever he got a decent moment. Like when the opportunity to pass was there, he would just start shooting. And I respect the fact he wants to take responsibility, but sometimes just use your brain, give it to a better teammate in a better position, and we'll score a goal. It doesn't.
yeah.
We don't. It's not like Martin Odegaard has to score. No, no, no. We have to score, not Martin.
Yeah. But do you think that's something he's kind of got in his head
Yeah,
then? He
I
thinks,
understand
yeah,
the logic of the substitution. I wasn't really mad at it at the time, and I'm still not mad about it.
yeah. No, same. Yeah, for what it's worth, that's why I wanted your take on it because I
Mm.
thought it made sense, especially with how we saw against Palace, like
Yeah, yeah.
Zinchenko, Jorginho on the pitch. It was just at the same time was a cheat
To be
code, right?
fair, I don't think Jorginho was at fault for the goal, for the second goal, the build up to the second goal. Sorry, I don't think he was at fault. So yeah, it's just one of those things, really.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, elephant in the room. Their equalizer. What are
I
we
think
saying?
I think Zinchenko. I don't know what he was thinking because he tried to play a ball that was not on, and then Traore
Yeah.
gets the ball, and then he wins a corner, and the corner itself. I'll let you discuss it.
Yeah. It's just it's really. I know we're a very good zonal marking team.
Hmm.
But and so okay, fair enough. It's zonal marking. You've got your structures in place, but you can clearly see the zone that Polinia runs into is I don't understand what they were doing. I don't know if psychologically they were just at ease, but they set up so poorly that there was a clear gap for someone to run into. And then even there, Saka should be covering the run there. Yeah,
Yes, Saka and Rush should have done better to block the zone where Paulinho had a shot because he had a free shot on goal basically,
yeah,
and but that's where the majority of the XG comes in because it was a corner that went in. Saka and Rice didn't block him, and Paulinho had a clean strike and goal, and he took it.
yeah. It's that wound me up so much because
Yeah.
they didn't lay a glove on us, really.
There's one thing I'd like to ask you, Clayton.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know? I would like to get your take on why we concede so many corners and free kick goals in the last since 2023. Why do you think we're conceding all these goals from set pieces?
It's funny because there was definitely a period where I don't think we were, and we were actually doing
Mm.
quite well. And I can't remember when that period was, but I remember just tweeting about it, having conversations. Like, I feel like the old narrative around Arsenal was set pieces where babies, like you can get at us. And then, like I said, I can't remember the exact period, but there was a period in Arteta's regime where we were very good and like one of the best in the country.
In his first two full seasons, we didn't really concede from set pieces at all.
Yeah. So then to be honest, I don't really know what's changed.
Even
I feel like
comps
I was,
from August until the World Cup, we didn't concede any set piece goals.
I don't know, it's like is Nicholas Jova on crack or something? But
I don't know.
I
I
don't.
don't. I said the other day, like it's unacceptable the amount of set pieces we're conceding, and this it needs to be addressed. And ever since then, it's still not addressed. So I'm wondering to myself, does Nico Jova need to get sacked or something? Because it's unacceptable. Because even from attacking set pieces, it's especially 21, 22, we were really dangerous from set pieces.
Yeah,
Now we're not dangerous at all. We can't even beat the first man. Now we're conceding set pieces for fun. Like
yeah,
ever since the Man United second goal from Lissandro, we've been terrible at defending
yeah,
set.
and it's one of those like I don't know if this is lazy to put it down to this, but I sometimes think variance as well because I know I've got no doubt in my mind. Like I think the level of detail Arteta and his coaching staff go into is elite. Like
Yeah,
the
even
level,
though they're
yeah.
on.
There's no doubt in my mind it's like not down to a lack of preparation or they haven't thought about this detail, which makes me then think, is it just variance? Is it poor? For what it's what it could be poor application from the players, right? They
Yeah,
could be instructed like this is what you're doing and they're not following it. Like we don't know. And to be honest, I'm leaning more towards that just because I know I can't say it for a fact, but I feel like we're all of this opinion. Like we know the meticulous planning that this football club goes into now. Like we're at the elite level in how we
yeah,
operate now.
yeah.
And
I
that's
think
it.
even I'm shocked with how detailed we are.
Yeah, exactly. You see the interviews with Rio where he's talking about how he's seeing football in a different light. And so that's why I find it so hard to believe it's down to like a lack of planning or a lack of detail not being good enough. And I put
Yeah,
it down to variance slash like poor application from players. But I don't know.
yeah.
I need to do more homework on it to be honest. But what about
Yeah,
you? What do you think
yeah,
it's down to?
I'm with you as well. I think it's variance and it's a mix of variance and poor application from the players. Like, I don't think Nico Jovo Arteta can tell Saka to block the lane for Paulinho to shoot and Rice to block as well. It's just something
That should just be common sense and
that should be
instinctive.
that's bread and butter. That's bread and butter for
Yeah,
any football player, especially in an elite team like us. Like, I'm sure they'll probably get killed in the debrief on Monday.
100%.
I'm
And
sure
it's
they
like
do.
on a similar theme, it's another thing that's been winding me up is individual errors with Arsenal. Like that's how most teams score against us because we're so good systematically at nullifying chances. Well, we're very good at nullifying high quality chances through the opposition's
Playing.
fantastic play.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like most chances against us come from our own doing, to be honest, and that's another
yeah,
thing that winds me up. But
yeah.
again, it feels lazy to put it down to variance, but
It
I
does
think
feel like
that's
that because this season I think we've only given up, I would say, two big chances the from Brennan Johnson from when they won the second ball, but I think that was offside. I think
all
that was,
right. Yeah,
and then the counter goal that Forest scored from Elanga and Awani, where they linked up together, and
yeah,
Elanga just killed our whole team on the counter,
that
and
was a
then
joke.
Awani
Yeah,
had that chance, but I think White could have done better to block him. To be honest, he
yeah,
could have got across him, but what's done is done now, so that can't be changed. But I think that's the only two big chances we've really given away this season so far in three
yeah,
games. So
yeah,
less than one big chance a game we're giving away. So I do agree with your point. We are elite at stopping teams from creating big chances against us. But any chance that we give away, it's our fault. Like we give the ball away in a build-up, or we don't mark from a corner, or just really stupid things like this that just wind you up differently.
yeah. And that's again, it's a nice segue onto the next slide. So, um, season expectations. So we've kind of both spoken about how, yeah, we both think we kind of operate at this elite level, right? And I firmly believe that. Not even just saying that with bias in there. I think you look at all the underlying processes that have led to where we are now, and even the title challenge last season. I don't believe even the most biased Arsenal fans last summer were
Mm.
confidently saying we'll be in a title challenge. And so that's where we're at now. And I think that's kind of the expectations, right? So I know the slide says season expectations, but expectations has such a connotation to it. So what's your kind of hopes for the season and what do you think we're capable of? What do you want to see other than
Yeah.
the obvious of winning the quad?
Okay, to be honest, my season expectation is obviously challenge for the league or win the league or at least challenge again. Go to
Yeah,
the last few match days. Really
yeah,
like push City again. Try to go to match day 35 and try to hit 90 points. I think we
sure.
could have hit 90 points, but because of injuries and certain wrong profiles playing, we didn't. We were unfortunate not to hit 90 points. But I want us to hit 90 points and to really take Man City to the last few match days, even to the last match day, like Liverpool did two
Yeah,
seasons ago. The Champions League, we've not been there for the last 6 years, and it's going to be a lot for basically the majority of our squad. It's going to be the first time they've ever played in the Champions League. I don't
yeah,
think people really realize. Like, I think Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, Partey, Gabriel. That's four players in our 11 that's played Champions League football.
yeah, it's not many.
I don't include Odegaard because he's only played 90 minutes in Champions League, so he's
Yeah,
barely any Champions League experience. So we've only got four players in our team that's played Champions League. So I'm not expecting them to go to the final or to reach the semi-final. If we can get out of our group and try to get, if we go past the round of 16, try to finish first or second, get to the round of 16, and whoever we get in the round of
and then
16,
take it from there.
if we face someone like AC Milan or any team like or Borussia Dortmund in the round of 16, I expect us to progress. But if we get an elite team like Bayern or Real Madrid or anyone like that, then anything can happen, because like anything can happen. I don't really expect too much. But if we get to the quarterfinal, I'll be very happy. Very, very happy. Very happy. If we can win the FA Cup, I think this team can. Our squad is good enough to go to balance the Premier League, the Champions League, and the FA Cup. It's no problem. I think we can do that. So I think we should try to win the FA Cup, and I don't really care about the Carabao Cup, to be honest.
Fair.
It's just a really irrelevant tournament where it's just nothing good comes from it, as we know.
Would you take your 90 points and take it to the final few match days in the league, quarterfinal Champions League, and a Carabao Cup, but not the FA? Would you take that?
Yes, I would take that, but it depends who we beat in the Champions League and do we win a lot of Big Six games. If we're similarly successful against the Big Six like we were last season, and we beat someone like, if we beat Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or something in the round of 16, I'd be very happy with that season.
Yeah.
But if we beat like Borussia Dortmund or something in the round of 16, or Sevilla, or which other Spanish team is there? Or Atletico Madrid, I'd be okay. I'd be okay with it. But yeah, so my expectations are just to basically hit 90 points, push City to the last match day, at least the last 3 match days or the last match day, to win the FA Cup, and I don't care about the Carabao Cup. What are your expectations?
Yeah, similar. I think the only thing I'm slightly different, basically, that's all good, no worries. Only thing I'm slightly different on is the Champions League. I'm a little bit more bullish on, I think, our potential in that competition, just because I don't believe the quality of the elite teams in Europe is at its best at the minute.
Yeah, that's right.
And I take your point on like only 4 of our kind of, if you had to say starting 11, have played in the Champions League, but I just think this team has got something different about them. So like you look at last season and people would have said, oh, they've not had a title challenge before, but they just went in one out of nowhere. And I know we didn't go the full distance, but I think this team's ability to learn and progress forward is so strong. And I think they'll quickly learn from experiences on the fly in the Champions League. And I genuinely back us against most teams in Europe across 2 legs. I really do. And I really think we're going to shock a few people in Europe. I think we'll be one of those teams. You know how like Napoli last season became the people's club of Europe. I can see us being that this season, to be honest.
I really hope so, but it's just our experience is worrying me a little bit. If we got to a quarterfinal or round of 16, if we got to the round of 16 and we lost to Bayern Munich 2-1 on aggregate or something, I wouldn't be angry. I'd be like, okay, it is what it is. We learn, we move on, and we get better. But if we lost to Borussia Dortmund or something, or Sevilla or Atletico Madrid, I'd be quite annoyed, to be honest. But if we lose by fine margins against an elite team in the round of 16, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, okay, it is what it is. We learn, we improve, and then we go again next year. But as you said, the elite teams aren't elite anymore. Like a lot of teams aren't as good as they used to be, and there could be shocks like AC Milan last year, Napoli last year, Inter Milan last year, even Benfica got to a quarter. So anything can happen as long as if the draw is kind, we can do something for sure.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, that I'm going to be brutally honest. I want us to go as far as we can in every competition, and I believe we've got the squad to do that. I think Timber's injury is so unfortunate. I literally cannot. You've recruited a profile that nullifies. So if you're looking at the problems and the shortfalls of last season, and what's the solution, we proactively identified that in Timber, and we did amazingly to recruit for that. And I like, what did we do to deserve that injury? I feel sorry.
I don't think anyone, even the most like cynical Arsenal fan, can anticipate that he would do his ACL in the first match day in the Premier League.
And that completely it changes so much, right? Even I think his recruitment and his profile was clearly to unlock this new system.
Surgery yet?
Adam?
Do you know if he's had the surgery yet for the ACL?
I'm not sure, I'm not sure.
Because like released a statement that he's had surgery. We just released a statement that he's torn his ACL and he'll be out for a while, but we don't know how long he's going to be out
Yeah,
for.
no,
But with
but
ACLs, you never know. Like most players recover from that within 6 months, so he could be back by February, March time, hopefully.
fingers crossed. But yeah, just to kind of go back to my thing, like I think I genuinely believe we've got the depth and versatility in the squad to
For sure.
rotate without the level dropping like it did last season. And as a result, I love how you quantify your expectations for the league, because I think so many people are like first, second, but that there's so much variance that I think if you quantify it, it's easy to track, right, as an
Yeah,
objective. And I'm the same,
yeah,
minimum 90 points, like 90 to 94. And then
yeah,
it's like, okay, if we do that and City go on and get 96, 97, fair play.
yeah, exactly.
Champions League, like I said, I my expectations are quarters. My hopes is genuinely, I think we can get to the final, genuinely. And then I want one
I know
of,
Rice is good, but is he that good?
may I think honestly, I maybe it's bias. I just think the level of quality in this team, and I think I'm at a point where I just trust Arteta so much in terms of
Yeah.
how much he plans for every eventuality and to come up with solutions.
Mhm.
I've got so much faith in this trajectory
Yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah.
That's kind of what leads to it. And then, to be honest, I just want one of the domestic cups. I would
Yeah.
love if we could win 2 trophies this year, one of them being a domestic cup and then one being one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
not asking for much, eh?
That would be an amazing season if we won a Premier League and the FA Cup and we got to a quarterfinal of the Champions League. That would be a dream season, to be honest.
Yeah, but yeah, just conscious of time, so we're nearly at the hour.
Mm.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover off before we head off?
No, to be honest, you wrapped up everything for me, and it was a pleasure speaking to you and it was a pleasure speaking to you, and it was a pleasure speaking on this podcast. And I hope one day we can do it again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, honestly, it's been great talking to you. Like I said, interact with you a lot on Twitter. I think it's quite clear to see the game similarly, which is always
Yeah,
nice chatting to like-minded people. And I'm not very good at doing this stuff, but Nima usually does this. So for anyone watching, if you've enjoyed it, you've enjoyed Hassan's appearance, please like and hit that subscribe button. Thanks, Pontus. He was in the chat saying, well, remember to leave a like. I hate doing that sales pitch, but it means a lot to us and it really does help. And
right.
yeah, that was the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast with Hassan. Drop him a follow on Twitter, well, X, at HAFTBL. And we'll be back on Friday. So we've got 2 more guests lined up on Friday to preview the big game, Man United. Just before you go, early prediction for the game?
I think we'll come out swinging. I think Arteta will give them a massive kick up the arse during training, and he will kill them during the debrief. So I expect us to really come out strong. I think we'll score. I think we'll win 2-1, but I think we'll miss quite a lot of chances again, unfortunately. But I think we'll completely outplay and beat United, to be honest.
Nice. I like that. I'm feeling confident. I think things are going to click for us, and I just don't think this is going to come back to bite me in the ass. I just don't think they're that good.
No, they're fucking shit. I'm gonna say they're fucking. I don't rate them. I don't rate Ten Hag. I don't rate them at all. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that. And on that note, we're out of here. Thanks again, man. Up the
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Come on, take care.